Guess who's back? Back again. I am back. But don't tell your friends. All right, you can tell your friends. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first trading day of 2023. I am officially back after my hiatus. For those of you that don't know, I take December off from day trading so that way my wash sales can clear. If you guys aren't sure what wash sales are or you've never heard of wash sales, I highly urge you to do some research on them, especially if you're a day trader, something you want to be familiar with and antiquated with. I'm not going to go into wash sales today, this morning, in this video, because there's just too much to discuss when it comes to that, and we've got other things that we're going to be more concerned with. Yeah. So this year was a little bit different. Normally, when I take the day trading off, what I do is I just switch to different tickers, and I'll day trade other tickers. I'll still do my swing trades, stuff like that. But this year, I decided instead to pretty much just take everything off. I very rarely opened up my broker through the month of December. Every once in a while, I'd check my portfolio and I'd kind of check how the market was doing overall. Um, but that was really kind of it. And it was nice. It was. I do definitely feel like coming back into this, I'm going to take things a little bit slow, getting fired back up again. But once upon a time, a very wise wizard said to me, he said, you need to know when to take breaks from the market. And that doesn't mean, just like taking a day off. That really means, disconnecting for a little bit, kind of resetting, getting your head back on straight and, not looking at charts for hours and hours and hours anymore and letting your brain space kind of clear the cache, so to speak. And, I got to say, I feel really good, after having done that and kind of going into today. Obviously, we'll see if it is a hindrance or a blessing when it comes to my trading throughout this week and next week and so on and so forth. But yeah, I'd say for the time being, I definitely recommend it. Okay, so we got started a little bit later than we wanted to today. Opening bell has absolutely already happened, and we're not really going to get our uh, analysis done previous to any plays that could have happened. But again, like I said, today's probably going to be more watching than playing, just to get back into the analytical mindset. So, what's been going on in the markets? What have we been seeing? You know what? I'm actually going to pop open a different screen, and we'll kind of explore that a little bit together to start off. Okay? Okay. So let's see. All right. First off, let's take a peek at what was going on the last couple weeks. Obviously, I took all of December off, right? So this would be the last week of December, second to last week, blah 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 blah. So December was somewhere right around in here when we broke away from our 20 and our 50 on the weekly chart, and we ended up making our next swing high, which perfectly lined up with our downtrend from last year. After that, we did, in fact, start our way back down. You can see that. And then this week, we had a huge range. We opened up down near our 20. We initially had a push to try and break out of consolidation, and we rejected off of that same swing high spot. So that's a pretty solid line for us to be paying attention to now, because we've had a second rejection off of that same spot. And it was also after a break out of the trend, our first break out of the trend, mind you. And this is the year to date trend for last year. And we ended up closing way down here below our moving averages and just above where our 50% retracement was. Now, some interesting things that happened after that, the following week and the week after that, we opened and closed at roughly the same place, and activity, or I should say sellers, kept trying to push us below that 50% retrace. Now, normally, when you lose the 50% retrace on a swing, that is kind of the bell tolling before we move for a full retest. Now, that being said, that seems like that didn't really happen, right? Each time we were pushed below the 50, there was a buying frenzy and people scooping up all of that all of those shares at those prices and kind of pushing us back up into this same spot. Like I said, I mean, we closed really close to where we opened every single time the last couple weeks. And I mean, even this week, we're opening really close to where we opened and closed the last couple weeks. So what we've kind of been seeing is we've been in this consolidation that's been stuck between our 61.8 and our 50% retracement, just below our 20 moving average, hanging out right around where the highest concentration volume is. Now on our daily, we can see that we have or still have our established downtrend line on our daily chart. We did attempt to break away from it, but again, similar to when we broke away on the yearly, even though we were starting to see some positive building, right? You know, we had the crossover of our 20 and our 50 on our daily. It just could not maintain, and that was the initiation for sellers to start pushing us back down. But again, as we can see, our 50% here, right? They just can't seem to generate that interest below it, and it just pushes us right back up. Now, we are getting into an interesting spot, right? So whenever we get the crossover event on our dailies, we almost always expect to see an eventual pullback to test that 20 before there's the next move, right? So here we had the move up. Where's the last one before that? Okay. So then before that, we had the crossover to the downside. We had the pull back. We had some pretty explosive action that pulled up, but there just wasn't anything that could hold on to it. And then we eventually dropped all the way back down, right? So anytime we see that crossover, we do expect those testing events for things to pull back and try to see what's going to happen. So now we're getting to the point where our 20s finally caught up with this consolidating action, right? So now we've got our 20 moving average lining up with our 61.8. If we get some activity up there and it just kind of dies out, that could be the signal for the next short cycle, right? That could be what we've been waiting for to grab our short position, then to ride the break of the 50 down to potentially a retest of the low. You know, might not go that low. We don't know. We obviously don't know. But what this tells us is it tells us we're getting into a really good spot and position for where we can have some really good play potential starting, right? Because if we end up breaking up, away, and through, and this just starts to become messy, well, we don't want to play around in that anymore. So we can get out of that position pretty quickly. But knowing that we've got this thinner volume up here, we can start looking to potentially place our short positions up where this price activity is. So just some food for thought, things to think about. Here's our 5-day look. Again, you know, kind of telling us the same story, right? We've just been seeing this wavering consolidation. It's been getting kind of messy. Obviously, a pinning effect going on at our higher volume. And today we can see that we're now breaking into those lower volume areas, and we're actually testing and challenging a supply area from last week. Was it last week? Yeah, last week. So we'll see what happens in here, right? This could potentially be the basing point or the drop point. And again, where's that all lining up, right? We've got our 61.8 retracement. We've got our overnight high. We've got the 20 moving average. Like everything's hanging out right up here. So yeah, look alive, guys. There could be some really good plays starting today. And that's going to be it for our long look. So let's go back to... cool. I've totally forgot. Is it stream? Yeah, there we go. Wait, that doesn't look right. Oh, you know what? I must have edited this screen and then not saved it before. So let's kind of fix that. I think we determined that we liked the 3-day look on this better. Yeah. And I mean, this one's fine. We don't have to worry about that. We've got our ticks on. Yeah, we can leave our overnight activity up for now. That works. Okay. Cool beans. I'm going to go ahead and hop over to my main screen now, and I'm going to open up the Discord window so I can actually see if people are asking me any questions. All right. Here we go. Cool. Cool beans. Cool beans. Cool beans. All right. So on our daily, or not our daily, but what we're kind of looking at right out of the gate, we did just get a crossover event from our moving averages, and we're heading up. We're going to test it. Here's our upper target for the day. This is where I was expecting to see the upper range of price action before we get either some consolidation or a reversal. So we'll see what happens here. Why did I choose that as the upper target? So if you're looking at a daily chart and a look at kind of where all of our activity was before, this upper target line kind of coincides with where the uppermost activity was back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, day 6, day 7, 8, 9, and day 10 of the last 2 weeks. So this is where, we'd also end up running into our 20, similar to what we were just discussing, right? Sure enough, it looks like the activity has started to thin out a little bit there. We did cover our VPOC from 1221. Oh, you know what I probably should do? I probably should load some contracts up in case I do plan on playing this. That would be helpful. Let's see, for shorts, I think we'll look at the 386s on the short side. And then for our longs, I guess 387, right? Because that's right where our 20 moving average is. And if we're going to break and run, we're going to break and run. All right, so we've got 387s loaded for long. We've got 386s loaded for short. I will make sure too, guys. I'll let you know if I'm taking a real trade or if it's just a hypothetical trade. Because, like I said, we're getting back into the swing of things. I might not necessarily place any trades today, but I don't want you guys to think that if I say, "Oh yeah, I'm taking a trade," that it's a real trade. If it's just me, paper trading something. All right. So it looks like our initial idea was correct, right? We touched our upper target. Volume started to thin out. Buyers started to dry up, and we hit our first turnaround spot. So had I been prepared, that's probably where we would have entered our short position, right? Because then we could have held it for a little bit. If we ended up breaking the 61.8 and there started to be some force there, we definitely wouldn't want to have held it any longer. But I mean, this is showing us right here. This would have been great, right? Because we could have got it for about $1.20, and I mean, it's already up at 224. So that's would have been a huge winner right there out of the gate. So now what we're watching for now that we did get our turnaround spot, right? That doesn't mean, okay, just jump in and pile in short, right? We need to be paying attention to where our last short areas are. Or we need to, wow, you can tell it's been a while since I've streamed. We need to be paying attention to whether or not sellers can actually generate and gain some momentum here. So we've got our low on the day. And I mean, unless that gets challenged and beat, then we're looking at a higher low on this swing down. And we could probably cut out our overnight activity now so things look a little cleaner on the chart and we're only dealing with real-time trading hours. So let's adjust that. There we go. So we've got a nice little trend line there. We're going to see if this comes back up to test our crossover spot. We may have another short opportunity. There may be another leg down here. We still could play the 286s. There's no reason that we don't have to. So 286, 386. Jesus. I still like those because, well, if price rises above that, then we're definitely not looking at that anymore. Hello, good morning. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Happy New Year. All right, so it looks like we almost got a test of it before our next leg down. So this tells us that the selling we're seeing is actually pretty aggressive, right? So we're probably going to break the low on the day here. The only way we wouldn't is if all of a sudden sellers shut off and we just start to see some crazy buying. I mean, we are still on a gap, right? I mean, we opened up on a gap. So that's something to be considerate of. And my guess is now that we did peter off on our upper target, we probably will see some advantageous bears try to pile in and see if they can close the gap. Because right now, it doesn't seem like we're not going to close the gap, right? There's some pretty good downward pressure. We had that very short consolidation point before we started dropping again. Yeah, there we go. Low of the day's been broken now. All right, there's our overnight low. How low will it go? I mean, at this point, it really feels like we're going to close the gap. So I think we're gonna get a nice touch of our previous day close. When I was originally writing up my report this morning, I actually did have my lower target set for the previous day close. But then I don't know, there was just something that told me if we end up tagging that, then sellers are going to probably step in, and the lower target that I ended up actually picking for today is around 380. So if we do lose the previous day close, that's where I'm looking to see if we take ourselves to. Well, thank you, sir. It's good to see you hanging out again. Love to have you. Yeah, it was a really enjoyable hiatus. I did enjoy my time off from the market. Got a lot of stuff done. Um, some interesting big things planned for the future that I don't want to publicly announce quite yet, but could be some cool stuff that we'll announce in the next couple months. Oh, here we go. So we tagged our overnight low. Now we're getting an actual test of the 20. We'll see if we get some consolidation here or if we end up crumbling back through. Crumbling back through. No, that's the wrong verbiage for what I meant. I meant crumbling down and then going and finishing filling the gap. But if we do get some consolidation here, what we can look for is a higher low for a potential staging spot for some long plays. So I think I already explained why we took that upper target, why it made sense, and why that worked out. Yeah, no, I did. Cool. So on our short long stop, we have pulled back now to the point where we would be looking to take a long position if they can't fill this gap, right? Because if they can't fill this gap, then this tells us that that's old business, right? I mean, we're starting a new year, um, and we were stuck in that consolidation zone for quite a while. So, what do we have on volume for today? Let's see. What are our numbers? All right, we're already at 9 million, almost 10 million, and we're barely 30 minutes into the day. That's pretty good. Sellers definitely have been dominating this morning's volume, though. We're just below neutral on our tick charts. So again, this is kind of getting into that territory, right? If sellers can't control the narrative here, there's a lot of volume from bulls buying in lower that can stop that activity and drive price back up. Okay, our gap is officially closed. We just touched the previous day high. So one of the things we're going to be doing next, if this does kind of keep trickling down, we're going to measure the thrust on each down wave. So this is going to help us kind of determine if this down move is losing its steam, if it's starting to run out of power, because then that's where we're going to be actually looking to take our long position. So we're going to give ourselves just a little channel to work with for now. Obviously, that channel's a wee bit busted. But what this tells us, right, looking at this channel, is we would expect to see these lows continue to hit the bottom of the channel. That would tell us that sellers are not losing any ground. Like they wouldn't be losing any ground, period. Since we are kind of hitting some consolidation and this down does seem to have struggled, we can start to think that maybe sellers are running out of a little bit of gas. We can't assume that too quickly, though. We need to see this initial channel break before we can start considering that sellers are running out of steam. Then we're going to be looking for the next test of our zone and then the subsequent pullback that doesn't breach these points. That's going to be the best risk to reward spot for us to hop in long. Because then we can get out if we make that lower low, or we can ride it to see if we do get the break and switch in trend. This is all short term, of course, because we do need to consider what's going on in the broader picture. Man, what a fun range to start the new year on, though. This is pretty good. What is this? It's 382.47 to 386.45. It's like a $2 range in the first half hour. I like it. All right, so right at the point we were trying to trade sideways through, you can see we touched the 20 again, and then we immediately came back down. So now we're going to see if this thrust is even shorter or if it ends up, touching down. So what this tells us at this point, right, sellers are still in control. Yes, the thrust is shorter, but this is still our initial channel. Sellers have not been pushed back yet to the point where they could potentially lose control. We don't have a good risk to reward spot to enter short here. We kind of missed that opportunity, right? Our first one would have been up at our upper target when we failed to generate interest. The second one would have been on the consolidation after the crossover. Third one would have been the first test of the 20 where our channel started. And then our next opportunity would have been at this test of the 20 where we also tested the channel. But, as you can see, you're going to be losing opportunity on each one because we don't know how low it's going to go. Looks like she's attempting to go sideways through it again. We are now down into the previous day range. Still got a little bit of ways to go before we break into the previous day value area. That starts at about, what is that? 381.54, right about there. Let's see if they can generate anything below this stop point. And we've got another low. Granted, we're hugging the top of the channel, but sellers are still in control. When we look over at our volume, we've got 99.57% of today's volume is selling. So, yeah, I'd say sellers are pretty much in control. Any upward activity that we do see right at this juncture is probably just going to be short covering. So just be careful of that if you are trying to play the bounce spots, right? Don't expect a major turnaround unless some things start changing. All right, we are almost into the previous day value zone. We have made contact with another high volume node. So if we don't get consolidation here, that's going to tell us that the sellers are really in control today. Because this is where the shelf should be. This is where we should see, not necessarily buying, but we should see the selling just really kind of grind to a halt. Because the only way selling would continue through here is if all the people who were buying at this level start selling. All right, B period, and we are starting off with a poor low. All right, typical poor structure fashion. We see B period start with an initial pushback. I like when things kind of work out textbook wise. It is pretty cool. I think I am going to load up some different contracts now, though. I think playing the 386s short would be kind of silly since we're all the way down here. We're going to switch to 382. We're actually going to play 382s on both sides because that's right about where our stop line is. So again, don't confuse what you're seeing here with new buyers. This is short covering. We don't know that for certain, but we have a really good guess that it's short covering based on the type of volume we've seen today, based on the fact that this upwave started immediately at the start of a new period. So our wheel's kind of spinning neutral right now. So we're going to be watching to see whether we get a push in one direction or another. Looks like there are some buyers entering the market here. I have a feeling that they're going to be getting themselves trapped. This is not a spot that I would feel comfortable entering long. Well, let me rephrase that. This is a spot I would enter long, but given the activity we've seen so far this morning, there's nothing about this that tells me I should be looking to build a long position. And this kind of falls back to that, those things that we've talked about before, right? Just because something's in a good risk to reward location doesn't necessarily mean you should take that trade. Because remember, as much as chart reading is a science, there's also an art to it. You need to be cognizant of the trend. You need to be cognizant of what other traders are doing. Not just looking at it as pure math and saying, well, logically this should happen. Because if you've learned nothing about the markets, it's that it is completely illogical. And while it's great when textbook things work and we can say, hey, our strategy works 100% of the time, 60% of the time, that's all well and dandy, but the idea is people are the wild card, emotions, things of that nature. We are getting some consolidation here, but there's nothing that looks like buying pressure. But unfortunately, because of where we're located, we don't really have good spots to get short right here. Because even if we do break lower, we might not break that much lower, right? This could be kind of the start of where our range ends up today. So ideally, in a perfect world, we're looking for the dump. We're looking for the short covering rally where people who got short this morning start really taking their profit off the table because they don't see an opportunity to get more profit. And then once that rally ends, that's where we want to enter short. So the potential event that would upend that scenario that we've just kind of built out there is if we do end up getting 3 ticks below this high volume node, and then volume just picks up exponentially. At that point, we've missed the ride. We could probably try and capture some of the trend if we just follow it, but you got to be quick with those. So for now, we play to the safe scenario. We want to see the short covering rally that we can enter short on. Oh, and other good news, my cough is gone. It took a heck of a long time. Yep. The vid got me good. But my what's the word I'm looking for here? My cardiovascular endurance seems to have come back too. So, that's good. It seems like I've made nearly a full recovery at this point now. Well, the good news is the longer this consolidation goes on, um, the bigger the next move should be. Well, yes and no, right? So our volume's gotten a little bit lighter down here. So sellers aren't really entering. They're not really putting any effort in down here. Nobody's really putting in any effort right here. But that is kind of the reason why I'm expecting to see that short rally. Because if it's not going lower, people are going to take their profits. And then at that point, you don't need buyers because everybody's buying by taking their profit. All right, here's some effort. See if this is the last ditch before the short rally starts. Because we just got our ticks below. That makes this a proper low now. So the potential to trigger a short rally here or some buying increases a little bit. That was kind of lackluster. So it looks like we may have a little bit more downside. We can clean up some of these lines. So our initial channel, while still pointing downwards, the thrust has started to shorten quite a bit. Sellers are still dominating, but they're not able to exert as much force at this higher volume juncture. But still not something we want to just willy-nilly jump long in on. Yeah, there's still some downside. Oh, we're at one of our pivot levels here. Let's see. I think that's the S3. That sounds about right. We're actually officially at our short line for the day, too. Ooh, pardon my yawn. All right. I'd say that's a clean break of the channel. There was some initial pushback, but not enough to do anything. Another 15 minutes and we should have a better calculated value zone. Actually, why don't we see if we can get a channel on the whole day? See what that looks like. That's kind of ugly, but it also kind of works. Let's see. XLF and XLC are the only sectors that are still green. Everything else be in the red. Although it is January, so people still could be tax loss harvesting. Well, I'd say so far we could call today a trend day. So far, it's respected the broader channel pretty well. Oh, we have officially pushed through our halfback. It'd be cool if we end up hitting my lower target today. I like those days where I accurately pick the upper and the lower. Especially, when I was looking at the range that I picked for today. I mean, it's more than a $6 range. I was like, yeah, maybe. But we're we're pretty gosh darn close to that lower target now. Should be, or we would expect to see a little bit of a slowdown here since this is the previous day point of control. Of course, if we don't see a slowdown here, then that means people are just going to be puking up their lunches. Which at that point, we should absolutely hit our lower target and we will probably go tag the 50. Look at that lower target in sight. We're so close. So if I had played short off of the upper target today, this is probably where I would be removing most of my profit off the table. Probably still leave a bit, since it does seem to be a trending day. All right, test of the channel, test of the 20. So far, every test has failed. Will this be another? Oh me, oh my. All right. Well, while we have a little lull in the action, I'm going to step away for a minute and grab some more coffee. I'll be right back. Okay. All right. We've got an attempt at the sideways trade. Oh, we have our first largest break of our 20. I say largest, I mean, compared to everything else this morning. Oh, buying volume has actually got a little bit up over 10%. Yeah, that's another positive tick on the day. I think that's the 5 minute. Yeah, it's not the 15. That's the 5. So we've got about 4.5 minutes till C period starts. And if we're still down here when C period starts, we're going to end up creating a gap to the downside in our profile. I'm going to experiment a little. Super exciting action right now. Hitting another consolidation point. We do seem to be seeing some effort in selling down here in this consolidation point that isn't producing much downward movement. We're going to keep an eye on that because this could be the first sign that this initial down wave on the day is finally running out of some steam. I mean, look at that's a pretty large selling wave. You guys see that on your chart? I forget what I have set up. Oh no, you guys only have volume, not Weiss waves. Hold on, let's change that. There you go. Now you've got Weiss waves. We're going to go ahead and save that too. Since we didn't save it last time. Yeah, we'll see if anything comes of it, right? I mean, just we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. Just because something is looking textbook or seems logical, it doesn't mean it has to follow it. It just starts to give us ideas of where we can start. Because now C period has started, and C period is on a gap. We've got a big red wave that just could not generate any force. But at the same time, if there's no buying, we're not going to go up. We still need to see that short covering rally. We need to see those people who are short take their profits, because people are not buying this morning. They are not buying at all, which really stinks, because again, I want to be short, but not down here. Absolutely not down here. But them's the ropes. Some days the direction, you want to be in that direction, and you just don't get the entry you're looking for. But that's okay. Because if you never get the entry you're looking for, you didn't lose any money. And I don't know about you guys, but I am definitely still in my capital preservation phase of learning the markets. Well, the good news about trend days is a lot of people do struggle with them. The market only trends 10% of the time. Yeah, we can have back-to-back trend days. That absolutely can happen. But, when it does happen, that's again, it's why we need to be thinking about the larger picture. We need to be thinking about our risk to reward and our entry points, right? Because if you struggle with trend days, but you don't allow yourself to enter into positions unless your what's the word? Your boxes are checked, so to speak. You're not going to get screwed over by a trend day. And then eventually you are going to be in on a trend day. You're going to be on the right side. And then if you follow the same protocol but in reverse, you're not going to get out too early. Like, I mean, let's say we got in, right up at the top where our upper target was. Well, we haven't even had a break of the cloud yet. So, I mean, yeah, we could take profit along the way here, especially now that we're down at the lower target. But there's no reason to completely close out the position yet. There's nothing about this yet that tells us this isn't going to be a trend day. Of course, we're only, an hour into the trading day, but I mean, here we are. We are starting to get a little bit of a close on our cloud. So this could be the consolidation that's actually looking to start the short rally now. As far as that's actually concerned, we'll be looking to see if it'll close the C gap. I mean, if it can't break out of the previous day value high, that's probably where we would grab our short position. But if it does, we'll be looking at the top of this reverse channel that we've drawn. And if that kind of seems like it's breaking, then we'll be looking for the VWAP test. It's interesting. We've got more positive ticks on the day than we do negative, and we've been trending down all day. What the heck does that mean? I mean, if that's trying to tell us that long is the way to go, that is ugly. Ugly as sin. Ugh. But that's why internals are just a piece, just a very small piece of the puzzle. Pretty sizable upwave trying to turn the wheel. It's got to break out of this consolidation zone if it's got a prayer, though. But that is the catalyst we're looking for, right? We want to see that. We want the market to give us our opportunity to enter into a good risk to reward short. Whether or not we're going to get that before 11 a.m., well, that remains to be seen. Oh, potential break from the consolidation? Yeah, no, it is. It absolutely is. We've got a lot of positive ticks on today, and most of them are above the zero line. I mean, you look at the tick, it's positive. You look at the vold is actually also positive. I mean, even our lowest point just barely went below that neutral line. Um, our weighted advanced decline, I mean, that's super down, but you'd expect that when all of the indices are red. But remember, it's just based on the previous day's price, right? Wherever it closed. If we're below that, it's red. If we're above that, it's green. It's actually how you figure a red or green day. By the way, if you didn't know. All right. Looks like we're finally getting that short rally that we've been waiting for. So we're going to look to figure the signs for when this rally's over. Let's see if it fits within the confines of our larger picture, right? Because if we do start to break away from this larger picture, if we do start to break up above VWAP, we really should reconsider our short positioning. And we should look at what everything else is doing, right? Is the volume shifting the other direction? Stuff like that. Still hasn't quite crossed over. But this potentially right here is the long entry point to follow this rally. Granted, because today's kind of been a trending day to the downside, I would be weary about it, but that doesn't mean you can't try. So one of the things to look at here, as far as the Weiss waves are concerned, look at how much effort went into that up wave that put us up here. And then look at how much selling effort stopped it in its tracks. Because one of the things that the Weiss waves are measuring, right, is it's the strength of the push in one direction. Then you measure that up against your candles, your price bars, and you can get an idea of who's gaining more for how much effort they're putting in. And the way that I also like to look at the Weiss waves is kind of think of it like somebody's spinning a wheel, right? When you see the green waves, the wheel's spinning to the right. When you see the left waves, the wheel's spinning left. And the idea is that there's this push pull that gets the wheel to either continue moving in one direction or to kind of come to a standstill or to change direction. So, with how far the wheel was already spinning down, you have to imagine that we need quite a bit of buying force to push against that direction of the spin to first get the wheel to stop, and then next to actually get the wheel to turn the other direction. So yeah, we measure the amount of force being exerted on the price, how much you're getting, etc. Oh, sorry I missed you. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning, and we'll catch you next time. That wasn't for the stream, guys. That was for somebody who was hanging out in our Discord. Like I've said before, if you guys are catching this replay, if you want to hang out with us live, always welcome to join our Discord. You know, hang out. Ooh. All right, looks like she's going to try and break that thin zone and cover the gap from B to C. Hey, got to the other side. The gap's been closed. All right. Watching to see if our short play is finally here. 20's being challenged on the top side. Was expecting a little more to the upside before getting short. Well, I think we have a missed opportunity here. I mean, if nothing else, if we had gotten in when we should have, we'd have about a 30 to 40 cent move right now in our favor. Well, it's our first day back. You know, today just might not be our day. I mean, the good news is I've called the good plays. I just didn't take any plays. So at least it's a confidence booster, right? But on that note, that's where we're going to wrap our stream up for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, joining us, watching this replay. And also, thank you so much to everybody who's supported the growth of this channel, our Discord community, and all that other stuff. It's been great. I love it. I know a couple of you guys did ask for some specific educational videos, and now that we are off hiatus, I will be getting to those. So don't you worry. I have heeded your calls, and I will be looking to provide some information and some fun stuff that you guys want to hear more about. All right. But until then, if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, join our Discord, and I will catch you on the flip side.